Hello everybody, welcome back to Red Tool House. On today's video, it's going to be part 3 of our off-grid cabin build up here at camp. And you can see this large stack of material behind me, and we're going to get started framing stuff up. So come along. All right, so the last two videos, of course, dealt with what we're doing here, kind of explained that a little bit. But now, today, we've come back up. Our concrete piers have hardened. They're good to go. We're going to start putting our treated piers on. We had the local lumber store deliver all of this. And I'm going to get, later on in this series, I'm going to do a full cost breakdown and talk about the cost of the material in today's prices, all the material lists, the costs, and then of course I think we got 5 different bids, and why we chose this company, who actually happened to be local here, just 7 miles away. So we'll talk about all that in upcoming videos, so be sure to watch out for that. But today we're going to get started setting up the foundation. Kelly and Mom and Cam are setting up the tent, so we'll have a place to rack out while we work. We're going to be up here for several days. Mom and Dad are here with their RV, and we're expecting some others to come. Kelly's folks are going to come up for a couple days and help out, and then our good friends from church are going to come up, and they're going to stay the weekend with us. So we're going to have a lot of labor on this, and we're going to break this into each video will be a day's worth of work, so we can kind of show you how this parses out. Again, we're going to share the mistakes, we're going to share the successes, we're going to get this in detail, hopefully, if I can remember to get the camera out while we're working real hard. But let's go look at the setup first. So as with any successful project, you need a good set of plans. So unfortunately, these are the plans I drew, so we'll see how good they are. But what I did is, you've seen some of our mock-ups and SketchUp, but what I did is busted that out and then made hard copy, because we don't have internet access up here. So I did hard copy, so there's our 4 elevations, and then broke out in detail. There's our subfloor, even the pattern of our floor sheathing, and then each individual wall broken out with some key specs as far as measurements go. And then I went ahead and did a layout chart. So this, all of these measurements, I don't know if that sunlight's messing that up. All of these measurements are from a home left. So if you imagine starting right here, if somebody took these 2 2x4s and laid them out, then you could measure each one of these left side. So it takes in 16 on centers, but this is the left edge of every single 2x4 coming down, and then it's labeled a corner stud, a stud, a king stud, jack stud, cripple, 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 jack stud. So anybody look at that will know, okay, corner stud, that's full size, regular stud, that's full size, king stud, that's full size, jack stud, we'll have to go over here and look. Well, our jack studs, our first jack stud should be 6 feet 6 inches. So that helps us determine all of that. And what I did every single wall that way. And then even, let's hop down here. And then even did the rafter layout. Got the rise and the run, just calculated all that here to make sure I was right. We're going to do a 10-12 slope. And if everything comes out right with our, oh shoot, what are those called? Cross ties, rafter ties, cross ties. With our cross ties, no, rafter ties. I don't remember what they're called. But if I did that right, all my calculations, it should make the ceiling of the loft in the center be 6'6", I believe. And I'm a cat's whisker over 6'2", 6'4" with heels on. So that allows me to be up there and not bonk my noggin. We'll see if that's how it works out. So Dad's here with his laser level, and he's getting it trued up so we can get an accurate reading. And we're 99.9% sure that's our high corner. It should be. This one's going to be close behind it. We set that tube a little higher in the ground. But we know at the lowest portion of the cabin foundation, we want at least a 22-inch crawl space. That's way this fat guy can get under there and do some work if he has to after the fact. So we're going to take a measurement there, and go around and just get an idea of what we're going to be. We're pretty certain we need to be about 56 inches high on this back corner, the low corner, and we'll see how that goes. But we're going to take some measurements first, and then we'll start setting our 6x6s and getting those dialed into the proper height. Take a reading, Father? Yeah. Our Father, who art in heaven. Not that kind of reading. Yeah, there you are. Oop, back a little bit. All right. So that is, make sure my level is level on the level. There's level. So that's 18 and 7/8. 18 and 7/8 is the magic number. Unless you want to dial that into a round number.
Well, we can do that.
I'm just kidding.
You know, you want to measure to the ground also. If you want your 22 inches of height.
Yeah.
I'd come away from the pile. Probably. Yeah. What's under your finger?
That's 25 and a half. All right, so some of you guys have commented, why in the world am I buying all this lumber when we have a mill at home? Well, I mentioned that in the first video, drill hot, is that we want to try to be in this within a year. If I had to mill all this material and wait for it to air dry, then it would be 2 years before we could be in it. We want to speed this process up. Now, when we're building the retreat cabins, we'll definitely mill those because we're going to do those timber frame. But I thought, well, this will kind of be neat to work on a project where I'm not relying on my sawing skills to have true dimensional lumber. I thought, yeah, buying store-bought is going to be great. Look at this. I don't know if you can see the amount of snipe, planer snipe in that. Where's my square? Look at that gap. That is absolutely ridiculous. So we go from 5 and 5/8 to just under 5 1/2. So much for having perfectly dimensional wood. Oh well, we will press on. All right, we have 6 piers set now that are not only plumb, but they're square and they're level. So you can see the height of our subfloor. Our subfloor is going to be 9.5 inches higher than this. Actually, I guess 10 1/4 by the time we put the actual sheeting on. So you can see how high that stands there. So level and plumb and square, but it took us some time to get there. So this is a tip I want to give you all if you go to build and you're doing a pier and beam, is saving money versus saving money on material versus having to be better with your measurements. So if you watched the previous video, you know we use these brackets that you set in concrete. And Dad had the great idea of turning them a certain way so we can make some adjustments there, and we took advantage of that. In fact, you see here on this front corner, we had to move this one over just a little bit. It's still in the concrete, so it's still supported. It's just out a little bit to get our square. What was hilarious is we set all this up, measured our diagonals, and they were dead on. I mean, dead on. But this wall where Mom and Dad are was 2 inches too long, and this wall was 2 inches too short. So we just kind of candy-swamped it. So we had to change that, and what that did is that caused us, when we had to draw this corner in, we had to cut the bracket. So we have a shim spacer here, and that's where we had to move the most. Now, you can buy some of those Simpson brackets that they have a lag bolt in the concrete and has a big washer and a big nut, and you can loosen that and of course shift that plate around some to pick that up. Now you're not going to pick up two inches, but you can move that around a little bit. Now those were almost $50 a piece, and these concrete ones were $16 and some change. So it's one of those things, if you're doing this layout, do you want to spend the extra money to be able to have more play in it versus what we had to do here. Once the concrete's set up, you're not moving that bracket unless you do some redneck engineering like we did there. So just keep that in mind. If you don't trust your layout abilities, then movable brackets would be handy. All right, so next we're going to get some subfloor going here and see what that turns out like.
After they get it built. Oh, let me take a picture. There we go. 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 There we Well, everything was product.
Got it. Okay. Take a measurement from here, just right up against that, and make all that match. We'll pull them in. So like you said, here's the width I want. Yeah. Even if they get all halfway down the middle, it's only if you measure here and there, it's a big difference. This gap, that gap. So we'll take the fishing rods out the boards. The boards will look like this. So like 14 and a quarter. Right. So confirm that that's something close down there.
You know, it's close.
All right.
So we can make that work?
Do 14 and a half? Do half of it. 14 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 3 of those.
Because since we're not going to the very edge, 14 and a half will be fine. All right. Let's see if this is going to work.
Does that need to be one specific side up?
No, I don't think so. Thing is, I got to take it back out because I got to screw that bracket in. All right, so we just finished up a delicious meal. My mom made some dinner in the camper there, so that was nice. Take a break, and here's what we've got taken care of so far. We got all of our floor joists in. Now I'm just putting in we're doing a triple beam for the front for the rim joist. Goodness. And then we're doing doubles on the side. So the 12-foot length is a double rim joist, and then we're doing a triple here. So we're tying those in. You saw my father-in-law. He's making the cross bracing that will also double as support for our insulation. And that insulation, of course, will be across all of our joist openings here, provide some thermal protection there from the floor, from the cold coming up underneath, of course. And then the last thing we'll do is Cam and I will get under here and put, we've got some CSX 3/8 inch ply that will attach underneath, and that will be kind of a rodent block. And we'll spray foam insulation, any cracks or anything like that we got to fill in. And of course, put the subfloor down. We'll do that tomorrow. And we're also going to do cross bracing. We got to do our corner bracing here on all of our posts, and we'll see about this front corner if we're going to do a cross brace there or corner brace, but probably try to do them all. We'll do those with 4x4 treated, tile that in and really make this rigid. So I'm really happy with how this has come together so far. Oh, one other item we added were these brackets that help tie everything together. So you can see these brackets that bolt or screw into the rim joist, and then of course to the pier. So that ties all in, and we'll have those on all of them. As soon as I put the triple plate in place here, the triple rim joist, then we'll put those on the face of those as well.
Oh, smoke up.
All right, so we just finished up a breakfast break, obviously the next morning, and we worked on finishing up our insulation. So we got 1-inch styrofoam insulation in all of our joists, and that gives us about I think it's an R 6.5 value. So it gives us a little bit of protection there from the cold, and we're ready to start putting our subfloor on. So we got 3/4 inch tongue and groove OSB, and we're going to glue and nail that down, and that'll be our next step. All right, people, it's time to have a square dance now. We've got subfloor in place. Super excited about that. Glued and nailed, so we're in good shape here. Now it is time to move on to our walls, so I'm going to pick that up in our next video, and you guys can catch that next week. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. Y'all take care.